I always knew my brothers were the golden children, but I never realized just how much it would sting to be the forgotten one. First off, I don't even know if this goes here. I apologize in advance if that isn't the case, and I don't mind removing it. Currently living at home since my college is close. My boyfriend wanted to get emancipated from his mom since middle school. My parents always offered him to stay here. Now that he's 18, him staying here seems very threatening to my father in particular. We are both reserved people and follow whatever my father asks by leaving the door wide open even though my room is in the center of the house. In the living room close to theirs, and my door is basically paper thin. My brother, who mostly stays at his bio mom's house, currently has his girlfriend living with him due to her family having problems. They sleep together and get due significantly more, although not always here because they just don't have a place/room to stay in. Not to mention my older brother, when he was my age, got to sleep in his basement room, the furthest away, door closed with his girlfriend. Me and him at the time only had a poorly made divider, but I remember it clearly. I told them this, and they basically blew up about how they don't want to talk about this right now and how it's irrelevant. Whenever I'd go over to my boyfriend's or to his bio dad's when he visited, he's from the UK and is only able to visit a couple times a year, my father immediately became entitled to know whether or not we are in the same room, even if we are on the same floor of the house. It became a huge issue. I never spoke about it after that because it raised issues each time. On New Year's, they got drunk as they do each weekend and said that it was fine. We could sleep in the same room. This was my boyfriend's first time ever being allowed to stay over at my house because his mom is extremely controlling, to keep it short. And I was very surprised, but we went to sleep and had no issue. The next morning I could tell he seemed pissed, and I didn't question it because I knew it would have led to an argument. Last night, as I'm typing this at 4 a.m., was his second time staying over. I assumed since it was fine last time. I keep the door wide open and my room is literally in the center of the house. There'd be no issue. Not the case. Got lectured before I could even say a single thing. Being told if I even fall asleep in there accidentally he can't stay over. They always assume the worst immediately and don't bother to listen when I ask questions. I try to talk with them about this regularly, but get shut down immediately because it's apparently too stressful for them. My mom comes asking what's wrong and I try to tell her. It's exactly this. How I get treated so differently from my brothers on various occasions and how it's hurtful to me. She then panics and freaks out as if it were the worst thing I could have said, so I just don't say anything anymore. She's talked to my father about how apparently different I'm treated compared to them, which is surprising considering how passive she typically is, and he just says, I know. Sometimes I feel so genuinely disconnected from him because of things like this. I know I shouldn't feel this way and I should just sit and listen, but a part of me wants to be viewed as a person. I can tell my mom wants to say otherwise, but she always follows what he says as if she has not a say in anything. That's how it's been, and I don't ever see that changing, unfortunately. There are just so many instances of everything I talked about happening, and I feel so conflicted about these emotions I feel regarding them. It feels like I shouldn't because of them saying how much they do for me, how much they bust their ass to feed me, etc. Me and my boyfriend have never had the chance to travel. My family was too big and we could never afford it, and his mom didn't let him to anything when he was growing up. We wanted to plan a trip, nothing foreign or expensive, as I'm still in college and he's going to be soon, but something new to celebrate him being independent from his mom finally and for our anniversary. And to be entirely honest, I have been horrified of the thought of bringing it up because I know they will try to take control of whatever I'm doing. I understand I'm living in their house, I get it, and I'm very grateful for all Eve been given and have. I'm incredibly lucky to live the way I do, to live close to college and to not worry about it. But there's just that part of me that feels unheard and walked over. I wish I wouldn't have to walk on eggshells around them. I really can't tell if all these feelings are irrational, and these instances are completely right for them to feel. They are good people. It just feels a little bit unfair how I'm treated to blatantly different from my brothers, without even denying it. It hurts a lot. I hope I don't sound like a whiny kid, but it all feels really upsetting.